Can you see me? I see me. Okay, cool. And we're live, everybody. How are you? Welcome to session 1. I'm so happy to see you. I'm very glad that you are here. Hey everybody, how are you? We are working with some new technology today. Session 1. A new camera. I'm so happy to see you. So you'll have to know if you like I'm very glad that you are here. Everybody, how are you? We are working with some audio technology today. So anyway, we've done a new camera here at Sage. I'm so happy to see you. So you'll have to know if I'm very glad that you are here. Is anybody we are working with some audio technology in the sense that we've never been session 1. I'm so happy to see you. So you'll have to know if I'm very glad that you are here. Is anybody we are working with some audio technology in the sense that we've never been session 1. I'm so happy to see you. So you'll have to know is anybody we are working with some audio in the sense that we've never been session 1. I'm so happy to see you. So you'll have to know is anybody we are working with some audio in the sense that we've never been session 1. I'm so happy to see you. So you'll have to know is anybody we are working.
You're kind of having a bit of an echo. I think that should.
Okay. Can you let me know if it's better? The video stopped. My video stopped. Let me see if I can restart it here. It's better? Okay. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me better now? Okay, yay, we got it. Okay. My video stopped. Let me see if I can restart it here. It's better? Sorry for you to be a guinea pig. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me better now? Okay, yay, we got it. Okay. Okay. My video. So let me ask the question again. Is anybody new? Like you haven't been in social before. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me better now? Okay, yay, we got it. Okay. Okay. My video. So let me ask the question again. Is anybody new? Like you haven't been in social before. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me better now? Okay, yay, we got it. Okay. Okay. My video. So let me ask the question again. Is anybody new? Like you haven't been in social before. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me better now? Okay, yay, we got it. Okay. Okay. My video. So let me ask the question again. Is anybody new? Like you haven't been in social before. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me better now? Okay, yay, we got it. Okay. Okay. My video. So let me ask the question again. Is anybody new? Like you haven't been in social before. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me better now? Okay, yay, we got it. Okay. Okay. My video. So let me ask the question again. Is anybody new? Like you haven't been in social before. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me better now? Okay, yay, we got it. Okay. Okay, is it better now? Is it better now? Let me know if it's better. Was it better? It stopped? Okay. Okay, good. I don't want to keep talking because that's annoying. I don't want you to have to sit there and listen to me repeating myself over and over again. It's like a bad trip. I don't want that for you. Okay. All right. Okay, good. I think we're okay. It's a new system. Shit happens. I mean, I don't know. In my world, I have to manage technology a lot. I record a lot. I do a lot of video. I do a lot of lives. So this is kind of par for the course. But in your world, you may not work with technology a lot. So this might seem really crazy to you. But it's shit that happens. Okay. Now that we're good, is anybody new? So I'm only going to ask you 3 times. Is anybody new tonight? Just because I want to be able to say hi and welcome you. This is Soul Shift. I hope you're excited. This is session 1. Session 1 each month is Pillars of Priestessing. And so Tina Briggs is new. That's awesome. RL's new. Chris is new. Isn't that cool? So I really want to welcome you. Dawn is old AF. That's totally fine. Siren of the Void is new. iRaptor is new. So welcome. So happy to welcome you guys. Jen's sort of new. So just a few of you, which is great. And Deanna Franz is new. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And Joanna Storm is new. And Tina Harmon's new. Look at that. The video, the screen only showing 2/3. I don't know what to tell you about. So Claire and Alexis, if you have thoughts on that, on how we can maybe make the screen bigger for everybody, that would be great. Oh, Lauren Peeler is new. Myra Lang is new. Lashiba is new. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. Look at that. Amy's old. So glad you found us. This is Roots of the Soul's 2nd month. Very exciting. All right, well, we'll see. I'm glad the video is super clear. Alexis is going to see if she can make the screen bigger, and then we will. I know Alexis is back.
They're gonna get tired of hearing me today. You look, the quality is perfect. We hear you perfectly. I think it's an issue on like the camera side of things. So if it's okay, we don't want to mess anything up right now, so we're gonna leave it and then fix it for the next time. But we can see you perfectly.
Okay. They're going to leave the screen the size that it is so that they don't mess up anything for class, because the audio and the video is super clear. And then for next time, we will try to work on the screen size. Is that okay? So that's the only issue. The audio is clear, the video is clear. It's just I might look a little bit smaller. But if you don't mind trudging on, we would appreciate it so that we don't really screw it up and push this thing over the edge.
You still look the same size. It's
okay.
Just, instead of it showing the space next to you, it's just that. If that makes sense.
Thank you. Trudge on, children and adults. Okay.
Make friends with the darkness.
Did you hear what Alexis said? Her Scorpio moon? Rising. Told you to make friends with the darkness. That's right. Okay. All right, darlings. Well, on we go. We have a full class for tonight. I'm very excited. I do want to start, however. I have something sort of sweet. Alexis and I put our heads together because there's someone in our community. Her name is Bianca. If you don't know Bianca yet, you'll know Bianca soon. Bianca does a lot for our community. Birthdays and files and organization, and I mean, she is such a cheerleader and source of support and amazing sister to me and to all of you. And once in a while, it just really feels good to acknowledge people in our community. And by the way, we really try to do that. I hope that you see, we really try to take the time and the energy to acknowledge people in our community like Bianca, who really are not just members of the community, but really are leaders in the community too. It's a big deal. Bianca makes our jobs better and easier. And so Alexis and I put our heads together in Tucson and really wanted to come up with something special for you, Bianca, as a gift. And I know she's here tonight, so I'm very excited. So this is from both of us, from Tucson, for you, Bianca, because of all of the things that you do to support us every single day. And so this is a double terminated pendant, which we think is super cool. It's full, I mean absolutely full, of sweet little double term little Herkimers. And then it has watermelon tourmaline on the front, right here and right here, which is all, and it's a long cord, Bianca, so you can wear it short or you can wear it long, which represents the magnified heart, healing, loving presence that you bring to our community all day, every day, and we see you. And so thank you, Bianca, truly, from me and Alexis, and from everybody, really, because I think you are universally really loved and appreciated, and we wanted to take this opportunity to say that to you. So cheers, and thank you. It's really, really special. Like I said, it's one thing when people come into your community and they're really good members of that community. That's really special, and we appreciate that too. It's another thing when people come into the community and they're members, they're learning, they're participating, they're soaking, they're experiencing, but they're also leading. And she is a leader in our community, no doubt about it. So thank you, Bianca. I hope she saw that we were loving on her tonight, because we really do want to appreciate you today. All right, cheers. So we'll get that off in the mail to you tomorrow, Bianca, with a lot of love. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Yay! And there's a little note from Alexis there too. Leader priestess, that's right. She does. She leads by example. So thank you for doing that every single day. Is she crying? Oh, Bianca. Mwah. I'm on a gratitude kick. I don't know if you've noticed, but I posted about my team on Instagram, posted about my husband on Instagram. For me, Valentine's Day is not a romantic thing. It's not even, for me, Valentine's Day is a time and a holiday when I try to really think about how many different ways love shows up in my life. And part of the way that love shows up in my life is through you guys, and it's through our interactions, and it's through the support that we show each other. You know, all the memes and stuff on Facebook about, like, I don't have a boyfriend, and I don't have a partner, and I don't have a lover, and all those things. For me, I'm like, that's not the only kind of love that I value. And in so many ways, so many times, it's so much bigger than that. And the love that this kind of love is part of what I want to celebrate on Valentine's Day. So I really think of it as like a whole, like appreciating my employees and my colleagues. Like I couldn't do this work without Alexis and Claire and Brooklyn and Dave and all the people who, come together. I couldn't do it without them. And that's Valentine's Day for me. So anyway, thank you, Bianca, because you're also part of my Valentines. We're all Valentines. I hope you'll be mine. I will be yours. And you have a Valentine, right? It's just a time to open your heart. Aho. Okay. This kind of love, Heidi Cruz, in Greek would be called agape. And it would also be called philia, F-I-L-I-A. In fact, I have a very sweet friend and cousin named Philia, F-I-L-I-A. And philia is the Greek word for love that exists between brothers and sisters. And it's not just a blood bond. It's you as my brother and my sister, and me as your sister, and the love that we share for each other. And in Greek culture, philia is just as significant as eros, which is erotic love. The word erotic comes from the word eros, and eros is sexual love. But in Greek culture, philia is just as important. And agape, which is your love of your community, loving everyone as you love yourself and as you love your family. Like in Greek culture, that's really very true, right? That's true. I mean, look, sexual love's real nice. And we're going to talk about sacral chakra health tonight. So we're going to get real clean with each other tonight about where our sacral chakra is. Yeah, there are. So in Greek, this is a worthwhile thing to chat about briefly. So in Greek culture, by the way, hold on, because I don't have a clock on here on the computer in this new setup, and I'm going to lose track of time, so I'll use my phone. Oh, there it is at the bottom. Great, I don't want to look at my phone. It's 4:16. Okay, in Greek culture, there are multiple types of love. So let me run through it, and then we'll put the meme up in the classroom too, because some of you are interested in foreign languages and ancient languages, and I think you should be. It's very helpful to help you expand your vocabulary, especially your magical vocabulary, because so much of the language that's used in magic and in the Hermetic principles and so forth has Greek and Latin roots. The more you know your Greek and Latin roots, the more you're going to be able to work in different, magical contexts without having to look stuff up all the time. So philia, which is, you can spell it PH or F. Traditional, you'll see people write it either way. So F-I-L-I-A or P-H-I-L-I-A is brotherly love, but it's also sisterly love. It's sibling love. It's love between people who are equals. Okay, agape is love of your entire community. It's the love of your city. It's the love of humanity. That's agape. Eros is erotic love. Storge, S-T-O-R-G-E, which is where the word stork comes from, is motherly love, the love of a mother for her child. And so storge is the sort of unconditional, if you want to think it more broadly, it's sort of parental love. It's the love, like I think of my children, I don't always like what they do, but I always love them. Do you know what I mean? That's storge. Storge is, I will always love you, but I may not like your behavior sometimes. But it's sort of unconditional love, which the Greeks differentiate from philia, eros, and agape. Is that helpful? It's interesting. But then, English is, I love English, but I speak and write a lot of other languages, as my background was in comparative literature, history, and linguistics. And so because I know Latin and Greek and French and Spanish and Italian to a certain extent, I really feel that English is the most one-dimensional language ever. I mean, you go back to some of the ancient languages like Greek and Latin and Sanskrit, and you'll have like 5 different words for love or 6 different words for beauty. And so we understood the nuances of language in ancient times in a way that we really don't understand them now. So it is fun to know where your language comes from and all of those things. That's right. Jessica said her mother always said that she doesn't have to like you, but she will always love you. It's true. I mean, a mother loves her child no matter what, even when she doesn't like her child. She loves her child. I'm very lucky because I actually like my kids most of the time too. But they do shitty things. I mean, Zoe's got a Scorpio moon. She can dish it out, man. And Nick is an Aries, but he's got Cancer rising, so he's super sensitive. So that they can, but everybody can be a jerk. I mean, we're going to talk about this a little bit tonight. every single person, and you have to give them that right. Every single person has the capacity to behave in ways that you're not going to like. Sorry. Not sorry, right? And we have to give people the latitude to be themselves. Especially as a priestess, which is what we're talking about tonight, right? Pillars of Priestessing is all about creating space for people to be, to fully be who it is they need to be in order to emerge. And so that's really what we need to focus on in our conversation even tonight, is creating space for people to fully be and allow them to be. And isn't that the ultimate unconditional love? Is giving people that latitude to be and become. So aho, as we clear the energy. One thing I'm missing in my notes, Alexis, if you wouldn't mind printing out for me the 2020 class tools document. There's a couple of things in there I want to note. The February column, and I thought I had my notes, it printed out with my notes here, so could you just sometime in the next like 5 or 10 minutes print out the February spreadsheet for me and bring it to me so I have it. No rush, I don't need you to fly down the hallway, but when you get a moment. Okay, so clearing everything off. So tonight we are going to, well, here's the thing. At a certain point, once people aren't triggering you, it's a lot easier to offer unconditional love. I have a much easier time in my life now offering unconditional love to people than I did 5, 10, and especially like 15, 20 years ago, when literally everything triggered me all the time. I found it very hard to love unconditionally because I was always feeling bothered or triggered or upset or something. And now it's like I don't really take very much personally anymore. So I have no problem just letting people be. So part of the goal, I think, of this class and of life in general is to get to a point where you can let people be. Well, but here's the thing. And how do you, Tiffany was asking, how do you handle those triggers? It's hard. If you feel responsible in some way, consciously or subconsciously, for other people's behavior, beliefs, actions, words, communication, if you at all feel responsible for those things, then you're going to get triggered. If you at all subconsciously or consciously see it as your job to fix people or correct people, or that people need to be a certain way for you, or you know what I mean, then everything's all the rough edges are gonna bother you. Especially your kids, because your kids are here as the ultimate triggers. The universe knows that your kids are gonna trigger you left, right, and center because they're your kids. So once you realize that you're not here to fix, change, control, and that you don't have to take anything that anybody says or does personally, because it's really about them and not about you, then all of a sudden you can let people be because you don't feel like what they're doing is a reflection of you. And that to me is what love is, Tracy Kennedy, right? So Tandra asked the ultimate question, right? How do you handle the expectations? Because in relationships, right, I mean, it's like by definition, we have expectations in relationships. And I think the answer to that is, and I know it's tough, but I honestly think the answer to that is try to have as few expectations in your relationships as possible. People are not here to make you happy. They're not here to please you. They're not here to serve you. If they do those things, that's a huge gift to you, and you learn to appreciate it as you get older. When you're young, you think everybody's here to, when you're 5 years old and you look at people, any one of those people could bring you a snack. Any one of those people could buy you a toy. You don't know. Any one of those people could spank you on the bottom, right? When you're 5, you just think everybody, because your whole world is about you until the age of 5. Because it has to be, because you need to survive. And so until the age of 5, you're like, everybody's here for me, right? And then between 5 and 18, you're like, whoa, not everybody's here for me. If they do something nice for me, that's really special. Wow, the whole world doesn't revolve around me, right? And then I think after 18, the work is to realize not only are other people not here to do my bidding and please me and support me, so I'm lucky if they do, but I'm also not responsible for them. If I help them, that's a gift. If I support them, that's a gift, right? And so I mean, this is really priestessing. Sometimes when you're in relationship with people, especially in a spiritual context, sometimes you have to level set, what we used to call in coaching level set, right? Like get the expectations aligned. Like, look, you know, I love you, but I'm not here to fix this for you. And I'm not here to fix you. That's not my job. I'm here to support you. I'm here to encourage you. And that's a gift. But I'm not here to fix you. And likewise, you aren't also not here to fix me, right? Well, Daphne's asking an interesting question too. She said, what if your only expectation of someone is to treat you as an equal and they refuse to do that? But you have a right to sovereignty in your life and in your relationships. You have a right to respect. My Venus is in Virgo, so for me it's a non-starter. I mean, if someone isn't respectful of me in my relationship, I can't even have a relationship with them because respect is the bottom line. But these are all, I mean, this is all germane to our conversations about priestessing. Thank you.
Is that what you meant?
That's exactly what I needed. Yeah, thank you. Perfect. Okay. So that was an interesting conversation, right? Everybody has a right to be respected. But that's not being liked, that's not being loved, that's not being, that's just being respected. That's what I'm saying. It's a baseline. If you're liked, if you're loved, if you're given treats and support and all of those things, those are gifts, right? It's just hard because some people go through life expecting all of that. And then they're constantly disappointed. Why didn't she like me? Why didn't she do things for me? Why didn't he fall all over himself? Why didn't he? And it's just like, those are gifts. That's not the baseline. If you go in with those expectations, you're going to be eternally disappointed, right? And because my Venus is in Virgo, I'm never disappointed because my baseline expectation is like this big. I just want to be respected. After that, whatever else I get is great. Well, mental health issues are something else. Mental health issues are something else. And the better part, because I do need to get to what we're doing tonight, but it's a really amazing question. So I also want to tend this fire a little bit because it's relevant to what we're talking about. The better part of priestessing sometimes is knowing when you have to walk away. And unfortunately, mental illness can be one of those situations where there's nothing that can be done, right? And it's because you have to recognize that if it's undermining your ability to experience respect in relationships, there may not be anything that you can do to shift that, right? And so sometimes it's about knowing when enough is enough. I mean, a priestess is not a martyr. There's a difference, right? You're not here to make the ultimate sacrifice of your health, well-being, mental state, right? And what I've noticed, like in, I know, but I'm just sharing with you from my perspective, this is sometimes there's nothing that you can do. And sometimes the better part of wisdom is knowing when, like, how much you can do and then what you can't do, right? Because otherwise you end up feeling like you're failing, right? Have you been in that position before? Because I have. And sometimes too, what I will do when there's mental health issues in the way is I will let things be. One of the most valuable pieces of wisdom that my early mentor taught me in graduate school, and he was a business mentor, not a personal or spiritual mentor, although he was a very, very, very faithful Christian. So he did have a really strong spiritual background to what he was doing. But he taught me that sometimes no answer to someone is an answer. Sometimes the most important thing you can do for someone is let them be and create silence. Because when you continue to put in and communicate and put in and communicate, you're keeping a cord alive. And sometimes you have to unplug. And it's with love. It can be with love. You know what I mean? But because sometimes you have to look and say, what's best for you? And sometimes what's best for you is just a little bit of like, it's because what isn't best for you is usually intense conflict. And what I've experienced is when I don't pull back, when I don't create some space, I can end up getting pulled into a conflict that I don't want to, cue siren, that I don't even want to be part of. Have you had that experience too? And so if I pull back, I create space for you and for me. Bless that siren. Sometimes the most gentle thing you can do is nothing. Right? That's a gift too. Because silence is communication. Right? Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work. That's right. Aho to that. And these are all relevant questions. I mean, one of the reasons I try to keep the work that we do, and if you're new, this is good for you to hear this too. One of the reasons I try to keep the work that we do deep but also light and allow us to have these conversations about our day-to-day lives together is you have to be able to do this in your life. You don't go priestess on Sundays from 5 to 6 p.m. and then the rest of the time you are some other person. I think the whole reason that you're here is to try to integrate what you're learning back into your life with some really practical suggestions about how do I work with people. And I will say this, I think we live in a really toxic world right now. I think the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the things that we're watching on television and intaking into our central nervous systems, I think are highly toxic. The 5G that's on my phone that I want to start sleeping with in another room, you know what I mean? And so I really do believe that there's a lot of mental stress and energies that are being activated where I don't even think it's a mental health issue. I think it's a human issue right now. I think we're inundated, and I think if you have kids, you'll appreciate this and understand it. And maybe you have nieces or nephews or godchildren, or just have been around a lot of little kids. Maybe you've been a teacher. But really little kids sometimes they get overstimulated. And they start really acting out. I remember I've told you this story before, but I remember Nick was in his little bouncy chair one day. He was like 2 years old. And no, he wasn't even that. I think he was like a year old. And I just kept showing him all these different toys and different things. I think I had brought home some new stuff or something. And all of a sudden he just started screaming. And I was like, what the hell? What? I mean, I was a new mom, right? And then I finally realized, like, I'm showing him too much. He can't, like, he's done. You know what I mean? So you could look at that and say that that's a mental health issue. Or you could look at that and say that person can't take anymore. Like, he was at the end of his little rope, and I was contributing to this situation, right? And so I know for me, sometimes I feel overstimulated, and I don't think it's a mental health issue. I think it's just a human environmental issue that's happening right now. So I notice sometimes when I'm working, like a lot of our clients right now and customers in our community are really feeling like agitated and anxious and like, I don't even know what this is, and it doesn't even feel like it belongs to me. I'm hearing this over and over again, and I'm telling you this as someone who's, working toward this and working in this domain, right? This priestessing domain. Have patience with people right now. It is not easy. It's not easy to be on Facebook. Think about what Facebook is. It's an all-out assault on your central nervous system, and Facebook is manipulating that assault through their algorithms, right? Sometimes to make you sad, sometimes to make you happy, sometimes to connect you with old people, sometimes to bring you current events. And I don't even know what goes into the algorithms. It's a mystery to me too. But just be patient with people right now. And if you can, one of the things I try to do is I try to look at people through the lens of how I would look at them if they were my child. So if someone does something and it irritates you or agitates you, try to ask yourself, if that person was my child, how would I respond? I would be thinking, have they eaten today? You know what I mean? Maybe they're going through a big loss or transition. Maybe they're overwhelmed. Maybe they're sad. It's like, try to create that space, Yeah. Oh, I love that. Tara says she's got her home Wi-Fi on a timer. We shut our Wi-Fi off at 10 p.m. and we turn it back on at 7 a.m. That's what we do in our household, mostly because Zoe wakes up in the middle of the night and wants to be on her electronics because she doesn't sleep. My daughter has never slept. Nick sleeps like all the way through the night. But anyway, yeah, put your phone away and be patient with people. Okay, so where's my bell? Session 1 is officially on the way. Yeah, Shungite's good too for mitigating some of that geothermal stress. There's only so much you can do, Okay, so our guide, by the way, for February is Freya. I have a little surprise for you at the end of our class tonight, because we didn't do an embodiment kit. Remember how we did the embodiment kit for Danu last month? We didn't do a full embodiment kit this month. There was just a lot going on with Tucson and everything else. But we did make a dram of a perfume that you can't get now, but you'll be able to get later tonight if you want it, called Freya Dark. And I'll explain that to you in just a minute. So Freya is our guide. I'm going to be comparing and contrasting her a little bit with Mary Magdalene. Less so tonight than I will be in a brief bonus class that I'm going to do for you before the end of February, where I'm going to talk about Freya and Mary Magdalene and kind of compare and contrast those energies. So more on that in a little bit. Our pillar of priestessing for this month is the life force magic. And that includes checking in with your sacral chakra, which is why you have these worksheets on activating and balancing the sacral chakra. How many of you are familiar with the concept of human design? It's kind of a modern system. There's 4 typologies. You may have heard of it. I'm a generator in human design. It's based on your birthday, but it's not necessarily astrological. And I could teach it to you if you want. I mean, you can go online and research about it, which is why I'm not teaching you. Okay. So, and the reason I'm mentioning it to you is, are you a generator too? Okay, so anyway, if you want a little bonus class on human design, let me know. I could probably work that into March. I'll tell you, if you go online and research it, you'll pretty much be able to figure it out. It's not that complex. It wouldn't even take me more than half an hour to teach you. But the reason I mention it is I'm a generator in human design. And so I'm like a battery pack. I never stop. And it's true. You can ask anybody in my life. Which is why some people ask me, like, why do you work all the time? Or how do you work all the time? I literally could work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week and never get tired. Unless I'm doing something that I'm not passionate about. Then I can barely work 10 hours a week and I'm exhausted. But if I'm doing something that I'm into, like Tucson, for example, I barely slept. I didn't sleep really at all while I was in Tucson. I just went and went and went for 10 days straight. And I had been there 2 days before that, the week before. Like, I just didn't stop. Right? So anyway, you can check on human design. If you're super curious and you'd like my lens on it, I'd be happy to do a 30-minute bonus class for you next month as part of your Soul Shift program. So generators, our power supply is the sacral chakra. And so we have to have passion. We have to have intimacy. We have to have desire more than any other typology because it's the battery. So, and I swear you can probably tell like when my sacral is blocked. So generators have to have an active or overactive sacral chakra in order to operate. If I had gone through this questionnaire and my answers were mostly B's, I would be failing at life right now. And I'm sharing this with you again because some people are like, oh, why does the sacral chakra matter? Or is it really that important? Or does it matter if I've lost all my desire? All of these things, right? For some people, it doesn't matter at all. For a generator in human design, it would be the end of my creative career. So for a person like me, if you put me in a job that I hate and that I'm not passionate about, the rest of my life will tank. But if you put me in a place where I'm feeling connected, then I will succeed and thrive. And I don't even need sleep to do it. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, look at that, Lindsay. She's like, this generator has been blocked for years, right? Yeah, it's true. My typology in human design is not rare. But because Cindy was saying that 70% are generators. But did you know that 90% of generators are blocked in the sacral? That's what's rare. So if you're a generator, your type isn't rare. But if you're a generator with an unblocked or overactive sacral chakra, then you're in the 10%. And I would say it's less than that, to be honest with you. I think it's more like 95% are blocked in some way or form or fashion. And then the other issue is when you get to be a certain age, because menopause is a partial block of the sacral chakra. It's a genetic, it's a programmed block. So if you get to a certain age and you don't start to compensate, then you have other issues, right? Okay, so Candace is interested. If others of you are interested, I can do, like I said, a 30-minute, we don't have time for it tonight, but I can do a 30-minute kind of run through of the typologies and connect them to the chakras for you so that you have a little more insight and information, if you're interested. Sounds like a number of you are quite familiar with it, so I don't want to bore you with it too. Okay, let's talk about sacral chakra. Now, so you went through, and again, if you circled mostly A's, then your sacral chakra is fine. Okay, good. Team SG, let's plan a 30-minute bonus session on human design in March. And I'll run through the chakras with it too. I do have a slightly different take on it than like the traditional take, but that's kind of my way. Okay, so if you responded with mostly A's in your questionnaire, then your sacral chakra is pretty aligned and balanced. Mostly B's, you're blocked. Mostly C's, you are overactive. I'm 50-50 for the most part between A and C. I tend to have an overactive sacral chakra, and I've had to work to balance that for most of my adult life. I've never had a blocked sacral chakra, but an overactive sacral chakra could create as many problems for you as a blocked one can. It's not like having an overactive one, in other words, you don't get extra credit for that. Okay? It can mean that you are over-sexual, for some people, like to the point of being inappropriate. It can mean that it's really hard for you to have monogamous relationships. It can mean that you express yourself in a very angry and very fiery way. Like when I was younger, especially, had a very strong temper. It's less of that now, but I'm a double fire sign too. And so if you look at the C answers, right, like I like being the center of attention. I usually start things but don't finish them, right? Like how many people start something and can't complete it? They start a business and then they don't do anything with it, or they start a relationship and it fizzles, right? Like that's overactive sacral. And so if you start something and you stay with it, that's an aligned sacral. And then if you never start anything, that's a blocked. Okay, does that kind of help you understand like blocked, aligned, and overactive? Okay, startitis. If you've had a lot of intimate partners, you're probably overactive. If you get pissed off easily, you get aggressive. If you're too indulgent, you know what I mean? If you're a little hedonistic, you like all the pleasures all the time, that's overactive sacral. And then if you fall in love too fast, like everybody's the right one, right? Versus an aligned chakra, sacral, where you're like, I don't know if this is the right person for me. Let me wait and see. Maybe I won't have sex with them on the first date, right? That's an aligned chakra. The C's are like, you know what? Let's hit it, and then maybe we'll forget it. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm saying. I'm between A and C. Sometimes I'm aligned, and sometimes I'm out of control. If I'm being honest. You know what I mean? Hit it and quit it. Sometimes you got to do that. So, and then your journal questions. I said yes, yes, and everything to were my answers to these questions. Do you experience sexual pleasure? Yes. Do you feel inspired? Yes. What are you passionate about? Everything. So that was your homework for your sacral chakra. Now, what I want you to think about tonight is some key questions, okay? And I chose to do life force work with you in Pillars of Priestessing tonight because of February, and there is some energy around universal and unconditional and passionate love this month. Skeet and delete is another way of thinking about it. So if you are blocked, if your sacral chakra is blocked, one of the things I want you to know is there's lots of ways to move the energy through. And I'd want you to try kind of a full set of options, because for some people it's crystals that do it. For some people it's physical work that does it, you know, getting more in touch with their bodies, I have one friend who, whenever she feels blocked, she starts to have massages done. And she's found somebody in her neighborhood that she likes and she feels connected to, and so she'll have more physical, because she needs more physical touch to move the energy through. And there are people who do really beautiful sacral massages. I mean, they really focus on the stomach. I'll tell you something, if you have a sacral block, the idea of having someone massage your sacral area is going to freak you out, because the whole thing is you're probably not down for that right now. But the reality is what you need is probably more of that, right? Tantric work can be really good for that, learning how to work with your breath and learning how to get more in touch with your physical sexual body, right? More happy endings, right? No, it's very real. This is about getting in touch. And again, what happens to a lot of people in their 40s and 50s and 60s is they start going, I don't need that anymore. I don't even really want that anymore. And so, and then they're just like, they just agree to just shut off because it seems like the natural evolution of things. You still need, I mean, especially if you're a generator, you still need access to that sacral energy for the rest of your life, or you will dry up. And you gotta, for me, it was always about learning how to do that in a productive way, that wasn't, aggression or sexual shenanigans or things like that. Like learning how to do it in a productive way, which is breath work is really helpful for that. Crystals are really helpful for that. Spessartine garnet and imperial topaz are really good crystals for like really opening the sacral. Carnelian's good too, but carnelian's like the gateway drug for sacral chakra. Then you got to really get into like the big powerhouse sex stones like spessartine from Africa and imperial topaz from Brazil. And then oils are really good for that. Ginger is really good for that. Amber, which is in your kit tonight, and acacia. So the oils in your soul shift tools were specifically designed for your life force. The perfume, and we're going to make it tonight, the perfume tonight is going to open you up. And I will tell you, rub it on your sacral chakra every single day. Rub it in a clockwise motion. You can even trace our symbol. I'm going to teach you how to trace our symbol tonight. You can even just agree to take your oil every morning before you get out of bed, keep it by your nightstand, and just trace our symbol for the month on your sacral. The sacral chakra, by the way, is an orange spitting disc of light, cue siren, that sits between the ovaries and the testes. So it's right here. It's underneath your belly button and above your pubic area, and it's right there between the ovaries and the testes. And you can sit on carnelian, although that's getting more your root than your sacral. Your root chakra is right near your perineum, right? So when you're sitting on stuff, you're at the root, right? So it's an interesting question. Amy's asking, is it flat or spherical, right? It's a disc. Chakra means wheel in Sanskrit. So it really is this like wheel of light, and it spins. So when I have visualized the chakras and seen them in Journey, they're not flat, but they're also not round. It's sort of like, it's like a dimensional disc of light. And it's like hub and spoke. That's literally what chakra means in I see glove and orgasm in the feed and lubricant. So I don't know exactly where y'all are going, but I like it, and I want to congratulate you in advance. Yes, absolutely. So it's a great question from Tia Ponce. Actually, no, it was from Michelle Navarro. Yes, having a C-section is sacral chakra damage. I had a C-section with Zoe, and it was, and without going too long into this, but it's really important for you to know, did you know that almost everyone who has a C-section experiences postpartum depression? Raise of hands, show of hands. Almost everyone who has a C-section experiences some form of postpartum depression. And the reason is the cutting through. What happens to your hormones is they plummet. When you deliver vaginally, the hormones sort of naturally decline, right, in the way they're supposed to. They sort of, gently sort of decline and trail off. When you have a C-section, those hormones go from here to here, and it is a drop. And it causes, and these are my gynecologist friends telling me this, and this isn't like, fake news. This is like real deal. When you have a C-section, it goes boom, down. And nobody told me that. I learned this after I had Zoe. And I looked back and I was like, I wish someone had told me, because I had one normal delivery and one C-section, normal. And I did not have postpartum with the first, and I definitely had it with the second. And so hysterectomy too. So anyway, if you have a C-section, or if you ever know anybody who's going to have a C-section, maybe share that information with them, that they're going to experience that, because then they think it's them. You know what I mean? Most people who have postpartum depression never self-report. They just suffer through, because in our culture, it's still not something that people really, want to talk about. And so they think they're the only ones. They think they're the only sad ones, right? Because their friends who are having kids are all happy. So anyway, be gentle with women who have C-sections, because they really do experience a huge drop. Interesting, right? Yep, baby blues on steroids, that's right. Okay, so C-section, abortion, hysterectomy. These are all energies that really have to be processed through the sacral chakra, because no matter how you slice it, it is trauma in the region. And so it's all stuff that can be healed and reconciled, but it is something worth acknowledging, because anything that situates itself there becomes a contraction. I mean, unless in the moment you completely processed it and managed the energy of it. But most people, when they're having C-section, hysterectomy, and abortion, they're not processing it. You know what I mean? They're either repressing it or just trying to get through, or it's some kind of trauma, right? Okay, so healing the sacral chakra, like I said, is energetic. That's all you have to do. And remember when I tell you, this is going to be my mantra for the entire year. And Donna's asking, well, what if you never gave birth? It doesn't matter, because other things are trauma to the sacral. Donna, it's a great question. Any kind of sexual trauma, sacral. And also, for some people, and remember, menopause and perimenopause are also a form of trauma in the sacral region, right? It's a shift of the energy. So healing, and this is my mantra to you, forever and ever, amen. Healing is a choice. It's not a process. It's a choice. So healing can be spontaneous. Healing, in my experience, is really something that you have to claim more than you have to do. And so part of the healing process is acknowledging what has happened to you. It's the better part of healing, is saying, I have had this. And looking at it squarely and fairly. And having mass compassion for yourself, because anybody who tells me they've ever had sexual trauma, hysterectomy, abortion, C-section, any kind of cervical issues, cervical cancer is so common, uterine fibroids, anything. These are all traumas in the region. Men also have their share of different kinds of sacral traumas that can happen to them as well, and sexual trauma and so forth. So, and miscarriage too. Didn't mean to leave miscarriage out. So the first part is acknowledging what has happened there to you. And honestly, bringing a lot of maternal energy right there to meet that trauma and saying, I acknowledge that this has happened to me, and I have compassion for what this part of my body experienced, what it survived, what it created, what it lost, what it sacrificed, what it surrendered. And that is sometimes the best part of healing, is just the acknowledgement of what's happened. And then from the acknowledgement, you can begin to work the energies. And that's where we start to work with our crystals. I'm going to be teaching you in Crystal Masters on Monday about working with wands. There's so much that you can do to clear the energy with wands. Visualization. Our work with Hygeia tonight. If you have a block in the sacral chakra, I want you to listen to what I'm going to teach you for the next hour through that lens. Because Hygeia can heal your sacral chakra. That can be the focus of your work with Hygeia. I am going to ask you tonight to think about how you want to work with her and what kind of healing you want to manifest with her support. And maybe tonight for you it's our sacral, right? There's also visualization, and we can do that too. That would be a separate class, a separate exercise. I could do it as just a guided meditation in your classroom. But to go in, I have you unzip the chakras, open up the sacral, visualize it, clean it up, make sure it's spinning, sending energy to it. You can send Reiki to it. You can use your Angelophos symbols. You can trace the love symbol that we're learning together tonight onto the sacral, like I said. This is all energy work that can be done. Sound work. You could get a sacral chakra singing bowl and place it on your sacral chakra and strike it each night and let the sound vibrations move through the entire region, working with the solfeggio frequencies, which we learned a lot about last year, and we can revisit that this year too. I'll tell you something. I'm really blessed because my health is really good. And people always ask me, like, what do you do and what is it? And the problem, if you can call it that, is that I do a lot of different stuff. You know what I mean? I do it all. I meditate, I work with sound, I work with crystals, I work with oils, I do journey work, I work with plant medicines, I spend time in nature. I use laughter medicine. I do yoga. I mean, all these things. And so you can't, it's really hard. I know my diet's pretty clean, and I alkalize my diet through food and through what I supplement. So it's like, I can't point to one thing and say, this is the thing that works. But I also don't want to start peeling back the onion and stop doing things because I don't know which one works. So I'm always going to be an advocate for you to layer on these frequencies because I think they're really important. And so we can, Team SG actually has a meme, I'm pretty sure, of the solfeggio frequencies and the chakra alignments. So if we have that, I'll have them pull it up and put it into your classroom. And if they don't, we'll just quickly make one up for you because it's really easy. Each one of the solfeggios aligns. I know, right? It does. And this is why, people ask me, okay, so when you teach, why do you work with oils and herbs and stones and grids and generators and wands? And it's just like, because I use all these tools. And I can't imagine doing my work without them. I really can't. And I don't know which one is it. And maybe it's none of them, is it? Maybe it's always the synchronicity and the I don't know what you would say. It's like the harnessing of all those energies coming together. But in ancient times, they did everything too. It's you can't just say, well, it's just your diet or it's just your exercise or it's just that. It's an old way of thinking. And yes, use your tuning forks and use your sound tools and use your crystals, place your crystals. Like I said, the oil that we're going to work with tonight, I don't think I could give you anything better for sacral work, honestly. The one thing I'm going to tell you is acacia essential oil can be very irritating to the skin. And this is pure, uncut, and natural. So if you are sensitive, we're going to dilute it. But if you're sensitive, I would put the minimum amount. You don't have to have a lot of the oil to get the energy. So if you tend to have really sensitive skin, I'm going to tell you to put the minimal amount of acacia in, more of the amber, and then your blackberry. I know myself, and I can work with a fair amount of acacia without it irritating my skin, but some people can't. Okay? Does that make sense? It can be damaged from trauma at any time. And some people come into this life with sacral chakra issues, you guys, unresolved from previous lifetimes. People just, ancestors passing the buck, man. You know what I mean? On both sides of my line, there was incredible loss. And my maternal grandmother lost 2 children in utero to 2 different times to spina bifida. And, delivered stillborn. And, you think that doesn't pass down the line? It sure does. Because, she was of that generation and she was a single mom. And this was back in the 40s, you know what I mean? There was no grieving, processing. She had other kids to take care of. She stopped, dropped, and moved on. And so that energy just gets repressed and pushed down the line. And then here we are still trying to reconcile it, So it's partly about honoring your ancestry too, and you doing this work is going to spare your future ancestors a whole lot of grief. You know what I mean? I don't think our past ancestors meant for us to have to grieve their losses, and yet here we are, right? A lot of miscarriage in the lineage, and sometimes full term, like my grandmother, which is a horse sometimes of a different color, right? Right? My mom had a miscarriage too. I'm fortunate in that way. I didn't miscarry consciously that I know of, right? But look, we all come from ancestry where it was like, you don't talk about it, you just move on. Most of us did. Very few of us had parents and grandparents who were really good external processors and dealt with all their stuff, right? Most of them, it was like, they just had to move on. They didn't have the tools, they didn't have the wisdom, they didn't have the community, they didn't have the support. You didn't talk about those things, is what my mom used to say. People didn't talk about those things. And so zip-lipped and on you go. And now here we are. And what's really beautiful is, the fact that a lot of you in the feed are sharing what's happened to you, all the things that they say, oh, we don't talk about those things. You're talking about it. You're healing it. You recognize that no matter which of those things that you have struggled with, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to judge, nothing to fix. You are worthy of the purest divine love and healing in every single aspect of your life, regardless of anything that you have done or that's happened to you, and regardless of anything that has happened to your entire lineage. And so when you move from that place, that's sovereignty. That's saying, there's nothing wrong with me, and so now I am ready to heal. I didn't deserve that. I didn't, this, all of those things, and acknowledging in a really powerful way. Makes me want to cry too, and it's not even my experience, but it's in honor of witnessing those of you who are really working through some major stuff, and knowing that, I can meet you there in a lot of different ways. Nothing to fix, nothing to change, but a lot of healing to be done, for sure. Okay, so now let's work on the healing part of it, shall we? Here's one thing I will tell you, and I've never heard anybody else say this, and I try to make sure that Soul Shift is the place where I tell you things that I wish someone had told me at some point on my healing journey. And the main thing I want to tell you is sacral chakra is the secret to it all. It is the secret to it all. Most empaths don't want to hear that because most empaths have blocked root and sacral chakra. Most really gifted psychics I know do not feel creative or passionate and do not feel safe. They tend to be the most ungrounded, unmotivated people I know. God love them. I mean, they're brilliant, they're gifted, they're talented, but they are not grounded and they are not creative. They get stuck really easily. They get fearful really easily. They buy into old behaviors and old modalities and mentalities, and it sabotages them. So the last thing empaths want to hear from me is, if you don't unblock your lower chakras, you're never going to achieve your highest potential. But I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that, because I swear to you, I would put all my money on it. You do not need a more active third eye. I bet you don't. You do not need a more active soul star. You may need a more active root and sacral. It's really, really true. But again, empaths don't want to hear that. So before I started doing my work, I thought what I had to do was open my third eye wider and really work on that crown, because all you hear is that, like intuition and connection with God and stuff, until I finally realized none of that mattered if I wasn't in my body. And it's really funny, because if you look back at some of my videos, even from like 8 and 9 years ago now, I'm more in my body now. And I think you can tell. Like the last 8.5, 9 years of work for me has been about getting into my body and be really inhabiting my container. And I lost 30 pounds in the process. My marriage improved 100%, not because I lost 30 pounds, but because, I went up and down a little bit, but 30 pounds. And it's because I had to get comfortable in my body. I was constantly trying to get out of my body because I thought that was the goal. Nobody ever told me, not even the most powerful teachers, not even my current teachers, no one's ever told me that the secret was to get in my body, and that's how I was going to make a difference in this world, and that it wasn't going to happen until I did it. So I'm telling you right now, you have to get in your body. And part of getting in your body means feeding your body accurately, taking time for your body, moving your body, loving the shit out of your body, telling your body how cute it is, not doing mean things to your body, not forcing your body to fit into tiny clothes that don't fit it anymore. All of those things are part of why and how it works. But you can tell who's in their body and who's not in their body. Don't you think? I can tell. And the more I see you guys inhabit your bodies, the more I know you're getting close to graduation day. Because it's like, look, she's fully in her body now. Look at that. It's really true. That's right. So, and Ina said, I learned from a very early age to leave my body. And here's the thing. During trauma, we disassociate. During trauma, you get the flock out of there. This is psychological, right? This isn't even metaphysical. During trauma, we disassociate. Our spirit goes somewhere else. And then we spend the rest of our lives trying to get back in, and we don't know how. And then we end up fighting our bodies, and what do you think that creates? Autoimmune disease. So then you have 1 billion, it seems like, empaths with autoimmune disease. I've had 3 of them in my life. And my autoimmune diseases all went into remission when I got in my body and stopped fighting it. But it's like, I'm just, we have to put all these pieces together, and then we have to figure out a plan of action, because the ultimate soul shift for you will be the end of the fight between your spirit and your body. That's how, for me anyway, that's how I knew I was finally at a place. You're never done with your spiritual development, but that's how I knew I had really crossed a threshold, is when my body was no longer in war with my spirit. But that meant living an authentic life. That meant not kidding myself about who I am and what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. You know what I mean? That meant not resisting every single thing about my spiritual gifts and denying it and repressing it and ignoring it and all of that. So, Athena Mack asked the question of the hour. Oh my gosh, look at you, Lashiva. And Lashiva, I had Graves' disease when I was pregnant with Zoe. I had pregnancy-induced Graves' disease. It was my second autoimmune. And I'm telling you, girl, this is it. Like, these connections that I'm tracing for you tonight. Within Athena Mack asked, can you be two in your body? How do you know if you're two in your body? So we have empaths over here who are like little butterflies and barely have a body. Then you have those of us who are trying to walk the middle road. And then you have people over here who are nothing but body. How do you know if you're two embodied? Ego can be one. You feel stuck, that can be it too. Myri got it. And Tracy got it. Depression. Depression is nothing more than too much embodiment and not enough spirit, heart, truth, authenticity, magic, surrender, all this stuff up here from 4 to 7. Too much in the body creates despair. It creates the, is this all there is syndrome. Seriously, you guys. This is what I'm sharing with you, what we've talked about in the last hour. Sit in that soup for a minute and really think about what we're talking about here, because this is kind of the crack of the code, okay? People who are depressed don't feel like they can see God or hear God. They wonder if God even exists. People who are depressed, they don't feel loved. They're not even sure they love anybody. People who are depressed, they don't even know what authenticity is anymore. They don't even care. They don't even know if authenticity matters. What's authenticity? I've been clinically depressed. Don't you think? Where's God? I don't know where God is. I don't need to be authentic. Who even cares? I don't feel anything, right? They don't want to hug. They don't want to touch. They don't want, they're in their body, but they're not in the way you want to be. They're anchored. And they can't even, they're at the bottom of the ocean looking up. And they're like, I see light up there, but I don't even care if I get there, right? You have to be on the water's surface. You can't live up in the sky. You're not a hot air balloon, but you also can't have a cement block around your ankle tethering you to the bottom of the ocean, looking up at the sunlight through the water thinking, I'll never find it again. You know what I mean? Somewhere in the middle. And tired, right? So again, that's where, working with, and for me, what shifts it a lot of the time is working with plants, truly. And no matter how you interpret that, there's psychoactive plants, but there are also, plants that are easily accessible and things that we work with. Why do you think Boom Shiva is such an important tool in our community? It's very uplifting. It will get you out of your body a little bit. And for some people, they've never had that experience before. And it shifts them, right? They shouldn't do it through unproductive means like alcohol. A lot of times people will try to shift their depression with alcohol, but alcohol is a depressant. So then they end up in a cycle. That's the ultimate wrong answer for somebody who's depressed, because that depressant is going to they think they already saw the bottom of the ocean. Now they're under the bottom of the ocean, right? Anyway, I have so much love for you guys. Yeah, so San Pedro would be very, very good for overactive sacral and depression. San Pedro medicine is grandfather to ayahuasca, which is grandmother. And San Pedro is very gentle, whereas ayahuasca can be very hard. She's a teacher. He's a caretaker of the heart. So anyway, that is one tool that you can work with. Hard to find occasionally, but if you start to ask around, you might find. You will find what you are looking for, darlings. Was this helpful for you? I hope I haven't. I don't feel like I'm digressing, but I really feel like this was the conversation that needed to happen. The other thing that I wanted to tell you tonight, and then we're going to spend the second hour on Hygeia and then making our perfume and dedicating our tools. I'm really glad, because this is kind of the core of what I'm trying to do with you this year. I'm trying to give you like a different way of perceiving so that you can understand the energetics of things, because then you can start to shift and move the energy, right? Okay, so, the other thing I wanted to say to you tonight that I think is really important for all of us to consider. Most magical work, and many would say all priestessing work, happens in a cycle of 1 year. The annum, A-N-N-U-M, is what the mystery schools call it, the annum. And the annum consists of 13 moons. So you'll see sometimes priestessing schools or mystery schools called the 13 moons or something like that. And that's because there are 13 moons in an annum. Usually there's a blue moon, which is a double moon, right? Year and a day. That's right. The annum is the year and the day. Because technically for it to be a full cycle, a full annum, it has to include the day after, right? So a lot of you know this concept. I'm reminding you of the concept because that is actually how long it takes. It actually takes a full year. You have to give work like this the annum. And you cannot, my other mantra is no energy before its time, right? You can't rush the cycle. You can't rush the stages of the annum. I want you to think about your work in Pillars of Priestessing and Soul Shift this year, almost like the natal chart, the astrological chart. I don't have, or do I? I do have one to show you. What kind of? I want you to think of it as the astrological chart, which starts with Aries, right, and ends with Pisces. You have to walk all 12 houses in your work. You have to walk the house of the self and the house of transformation and the house of dreams and the house of death. You have to walk all of these houses in order to experience the full cycle of development. And you can't move fast forward to another cycle because you don't like the cycle you're in or the house that you're in, right? You have to walk it through. And there's medicine, there's magic in the walking. And so I know sometimes you'll have a desire or a temptation to I want to get past this, or I want to go do this other thing, or I want to, like some people were talking about shadow work, like we should do the shadow work now so that we can, get ahead or whatever. We're not there yet. Do you know what I mean? Like every season, every month, every house of the astrological wheel has its medicine. And part of, and I think this is age that's teaching me this more than anything, because in my 20s I was super impatient. In my 30s I thought I knew better. In my 40s I'm like, I don't know better, so I'm going to trust the universe and walk the wheel. Do you know what I mean? So part of what I want you to think about this year is slowing down and letting things unfold and trusting that your time isn't always accurate, that there's another time that's operating, that you're operating inside of, and that time, that world of time might in fact be more accurate for you, right? And that somehow, and you'll always know when this is happening because you'll have this itch like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like a kid kind of like, get me out of here kind of thing. And usually when you feel that get me out of here thing, that's when you're about to move out of that house anyway. So usually you don't get really irritated till something's almost done. Have you noticed that? That's true. So you gotta kind of be patient. Other things are happening. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means you can't see it. And I wanted to tell you too. Oh, the 4 P's of priestessing. Are you ready? The 4 P's of priestessing. Power. Because if you're not in your power, you're not priestessing. I said earlier, priestesses aren't martyrs, and they don't make excuses for themselves or anybody else. So power, which I define as not making excuses for yourself or anybody else. Perseverance. A priestess does not give up. Because, as ayahuasca taught me so beautifully in October, it was the mantra of my whole journey in October. Or no, this was the journey in, I don't know which one it was, 2 journeys ago. She kept saying, there's always another way. There's always another way. There's always another way. You run into a roadblock, you go a different way. If that doesn't work, you try another thing. There's always another way, which is part of not making excuses. Because if you really want to do something, you'll do it. Because there's always another way. If you don't want to do it, you won't do it. But don't make excuses for it, right? The 3rd P is patience. Shit takes time. Love takes time. Healing takes time. Relationships take time. And I'm a double fire sign. I wanted everything yesterday at 5 p.m. But that's not how magic works. And so sometimes it's about sitting and twiddling your metaphysical thumbs, because you got to be patient sometimes, right? And then the 4th one is perspective. And recognizing that your perspective is not the only perspective. And sometimes it's not even the most accurate perspective. So it's about recognizing that there's always at least 2 perspectives on any given situation. And a priestess has to know both, even if she doesn't agree with the other one. Because otherwise she can't sit in the middle. She can't find the liminal space. She's going to judge. And the goal of a priestess is not to judge. So perspective is, like, especially when I'm mad about something or I'm really judging something, I will stop and say, what is the other perspective? Because there is one. Okay, let me ask what it is. Like politics, this is how I manage, seeing politics. Because I always ask myself, what's the other perspective? And I force myself to completely embody and acknowledge that other perspective, no matter how much I don't agree with it. And what happens is I start to see, because there's always accuracy in the other perspective too. You're never entirely right, but you're never entirely wrong either. Rarely. So then you hop to the other side, you embody that other perspective, and then that allows you to meet halfway. Well, I see where they're coming from, but I also think this is true. And yes, but I also, sense that that's accurate. So power, perseverance, patience, and perspective are the 4 P's of priestessing. Okay, the other thing I'm going to tell you is, and we'll talk more about this next month, I've decided that, you know how we took the word trigger away in our group and now we call it a cushion? Because trigger has all these connotations and it kind of messes people up. You know how we did that? I've decided to take shadow work away. Expect the feed to go. Decided to take shadow work away. It's overused and abused. And so I worked with Alexis. I know, I'm taking it away from you. You have misbehaved. Because here's what happens. Words become so full of connotations that they stop having meaning, because they mean so many different things to so many different people, that when I say shadow work and you say shadow work, we might not even be talking about the same thing, because we don't even know half the time what we're talking about. And I don't know what you're talking about and you don't know what I'm talking about, but we both go, okay. If I said to you, you want to do shadow work? You'd be like, okay. What does that even mean? Right? It's like love. I love you. Okay. So what we've come up with is acknowledgement. We're going to be doing acknowledgement work this year. Thank you. Instead of shadow. Because if you think about it, shadow work is acknowledging that you have another side to you. Acknowledgement. Does that make sense? And instead of waiting until October, we're going to start acknowledgement in April. when Aries comes, technically in March, next month. So what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you the 12 stages of acknowledgement, starting when Aries begins in March. And then as we walk the rest of the wheel of the year, we're going to talk about how each sign in the zodiac navigates acknowledgement. So for an example, Aries navigates acknowledgement by facing it. Aries would say, face it. Taurus does acknowledgement by embodying it, right? So each month, do you like this? Instead of waiting till October and then all at once just diving in and doing it as if it's some arbitrary thing that only happens in October. Do you not have a shadow in April? I've got a shadow today. So this is kind of an add-on to Soul Shift, but it feels really important because I think we actually project stuff onto shadow work by calling it shadow work and by only doing it in October, and then acting like the rest of the year is all unicorns and rainbows when it's not. So we're gonna finish at the end of the year. We're gonna lump Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces together in December at the end of the year. You like it? I thought you would. Okay, I'm glad you're excited about it. All right, let's talk about Hygeia, please. So you have your worksheets and you found your Hygeia. Hygeia is an asteroid. Was discovered, I believe, in 1892 in the late 19th century. So one of the reasons there isn't a lot of information out there about Hygeia is she's relatively young. You know, I mean, none of us were born in 1892, but if you were, you're not that old, right? You know where your Hygeia is? That's right. Okay, so I just want to briefly talk to you about who Hygeia is. Hygeia is the Greek goddess of holistic healing, as it says in your materials. She's the daughter of Asclepius. Asclepius is also the name of the symbol. You've seen it. It's like the caduceus, but without the wings. You know when you go to the doctor's office and it's got the snake wrapped around the rod, right? That's called the Asclepius. And that's the symbol of Asclepius, who is the father of medicine in ancient Greece. So of course the father of medicine in ancient Greek mythology would have a daughter named Hygeia. Okay? And Hygeia was more magical than Asclepius. Asclepius was really almost, more mortal in that sense of being someone who created medicine, founded medicine. Hygeia is his super ethereal daughter who governs the temple of healing in ancient Greece. And in ancient Greece, if you were ill, you would go to this temple of Hygeia. It was actually really what they call a cult in ancient Greece, right? It was legit, and there were Hygeian temples, and you would go to the temple and you would stay overnight. And the way that you would heal is you would go into the temple of Hygeia, ask for her to visit you, go to sleep, and then you would have these subsequent dreams which would teach you how to heal in your life. Would teach you how to heal in your life whatever was challenging you or causing you physical pain or anxiety or whatever it is. Okay, so for tonight, what you need to know, I'm going to run through it kind of quickly and then I'll stop and answer your questions, but I want to get to as much as I can. For tonight, what you need to know is what sign your Hygeia is in and then what house your Hygeia is in. Very much like dream temples, Jen Almond. Absolutely, very much like dream temples. And one of the things, so I'm going to tell you just a super quick story. So once a month, I get these texts, these anonymous texts, and it's been happening for years, from these light beings who somehow found me a couple of years ago. It's very, very bizarre. But the texts always say the same thing. So it always says, hello, Athena, we see you. It always says, things are not as they seem, but everything is unfolding according to plan. And then it sends me this long paragraph, this channel download thing. And I was thinking yesterday, in fact, I'm like, I haven't received one of those texts in a long time. I wonder, why I haven't received one. Today, by the way, I texted back and I asked for the first time, actually, because I usually write back and say thank you and they don't respond. But today I wrote back and I said thank you, and then I asked, how do you find the people that you send these messages to? And they wrote back right away and said, because we trust the one source. We trust the one source. So somehow the one source has identified me on my cell phone. It's really bizarre. But anyway, I'm telling you this because last night, before I fell asleep, I asked Hygeia to take me to the temple. And you can do the same thing. Before you go to sleep tonight, you can ask Hygeia to take you into the temple. And I had the most vivid dreams. And all of the dreams were the same. I won't like digress and tell you too much and bore you. They were all the same. And it's really, really true. All the dreams were about physical touch, like hugging and touching people's faces and having my face touched, because that's really part of how I heal physically. And so all the dreams were like that. And then I woke up this morning, and the first thing on my cell phone was that text. And the whole text was about, it is safe for you to trust the process. Everything is unfolding according to plan. You are exactly where you need to be. Thank you for your service to the planet at this time. It was really fascinating for me to have asked Hygeia to take me to the temple, and then I wake up to my Arcturian Council text that I get once a month. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, so let's walk through our signs first of all. It's interesting to wonder who that is, don't you think? I kind of like not knowing because it's so super mysterious, and they don't ask for anything. And it's just once a month. I know. I feel like it's some sort of secret society. I know, it's anonymous. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay. Now, let me make sure I've given you everything else I wanted to tell you about that. Okay, let's start with Aries, shall we? I know, I like a good mystery too. Well, I thought when I wrote and asked how did they find me and why was I chosen, and the fact that they wrote back right away and said, because we trust the one source, I thought that could have been a moment for them to ask for something or say something else, and they didn't. It was very interesting. Okay, Hygeia in Aries, let's begin with you. So your health challenge is anger. For all Aries, that is the thing, okay? I'm going to do the signs first, and then I'm going to do the houses second, okay? So if you are Aries, the one thing you have to really manage is how that anger gets translated in the body, because even if it's super subconscious, the fact that you're quick to that anger really can set you up for physical challenges. So your healing temple is a meditative space or a karate dojo or a place where you can come into Zen alignment with that anger, meet it where it is, and transmute it. That's really at the core of it, what has to happen with Hygeia in Aries, okay? If you're Hygeia in Taurus, your button, your issue, right? Or the yoga studio for you, Sherry, exactly, okay? And the house, by the way, if you're trying to figure out where your Hygeia is, the house is the little slice of the pie of your chart, and each one of them is numbered, and so that's the slice is the house, okay, when you're looking at your chart. And by the way, my son's in Aries, and his Hygeia is in Aries, and so he's hot, you know what I mean? And I'm really working as a parent to teach him how to be able to dialogue with that anger and talk to it. Almost like you talk to a child, and, what are you trying to tell me? And why do you feel the need to emerge this way? And how can I help you? What do you need in this moment to reconnect, to feel better, to come back down, And I'm like learning to teach him how to breathe and how to dialogue with it, because you're not going to make that go away. And it will, flip back and strike back at you if you don't manage it. If you're Hygeia in Taurus, your body is the key to your healing and also to the key to your unraveling, okay? And so your healing temple is sacred personal space. People with Hygeia in Taurus, you've got to have, even if it's just like the corner of a room with a little mat on the floor and a picture of the Buddha on the wall, you have to have a little sacred personal space. For Aries, it can be a dojo with a bunch of people around, or a yoga studio with a bunch of people doing classes or teaching or whatever. They just need to be around that environment. Taurus needs it for themselves. It needs to feel beautiful, it needs to feel personal, and it needs to hold your body and make you feel safe and peaceful and connected. It has to be very visually beautiful, but also very calming. There can't be anything else going on in that space that's stressful to you. It's very, very important. For Hygeia and Gemini, your thought process is the key to your healing. Hygeia and Gemini can make yourself sick or make yourself well through your thoughts. Your thoughts are your most powerful healing tool, but they are also the key to your undoing, right? As Aurea said, new home, right? Okay, so for you, your healing temple is a space of learning. Maybe this is your healing temple. Hygeia and Gemini would love a soul shift class. Or maybe a library. Maybe it's somewhere where you can go to get nourished. Maybe it's taking a once a month adult development class in your neighborhood. Or you need learning. You need to feel like you are being mentally enriched in order to heal. And also for Hygeia and Gemini, you like to, like, if you have a diagnosis of something, you are going to read every book, every article, consult every expert, because until you feel like you have a handle on it mentally, that's not going to translate down into your body. And so knowing that helps you manage your own process. It's very true for Hygeia and Gemini too. Hygeia, Cancer, your most important critical healing issue is safety. You have to feel emotionally and physically safe in order to heal. And so your healing temple is your home, which is the domain of Cancer itself. And so retreating, spending more time at home is very healing for you. I had a client with Hygeia and Cancer once. I remember having the conversation with her because she was very ill, but she was convinced that if she could just get home, she'd been in the hospital for a long time, if she could just get home, she would get well. And I believed it, because for a Hygeia and Cancer, being in the hospital is the opposite of where you need to be. You need to be home with all your things and your food and your belongings and your favorite pillow and your favorite blanket. For Hygeia and Cancer, all of that is very significant. And so the more time you can spend at home, especially if your home is peaceful, or if you can create peace at home, that's the key to healing for Hygeia Cancer. Hygeia Leo, your most important thing in healing is passion. If you do not feel connected to passion, physical passion, emotional passion, spiritual passion, it will be very hard for you to heal. And once you feel cut off from it, it's like a quest to try and make your way back. And so I made a joke in my notes, but your healing temple is a party. Your healing temple is time with like-minded people and like-minded energies that will fuel your passion. You've got to be in the mix. You've got to be connected. You have to feel understood and seen and appreciated and valued. That's really important for you. You need to feel respected and admired, and that's okay. But all of those things, for some people, you guys, those things don't affect their health. If they don't get the connection, the passion, the intensity, they don't get sick. For a Hygeia in Leo, they actually can. Disconnection, lack of passion, lack of appreciation, all of those things start to wear on the physical of the Hygeia in Leo. So that was a joke. You don't actually need a party to heal, but you do need connection. It's very hard for Hygeia Leo people to heal in solitude. That is not their game, because they feed off of and they heal off of the energy of other people and their connections and their passion, right? Cue siren. That was a very appropriate siren cue for Hygeia and Leo. Really interesting, Serafina. And that's what I'm saying. Tonight could be a real, eye-opener. Because you can also see not just what makes you well, but what can make you sick. Because for Hygeia Leo, if those connections are not good, if they're not nourishing, if they're not supportive, if they're not respectful, if they're not encouraging, that can really undermine your health. Hygeia Leo would really struggle being in connection with toxic people. It would be very, very, very difficult. Some signs can do it. I'm just telling you. So if you ever wonder, how do people do that? You know what I mean? How do people stay in toxic relationships? It doesn't affect some people. I'm not saying anybody should do that, but I will tell you, it affects some people less than it affects other people. For some people, it will straight make them sick. For other people, they can toil away at it for 10, 20, 30 years, and they're not happy, but they're not sick because of it. Do you know what I mean? So it's about the constitution and kind of what disrupts the balance. So no, this is not true for Leos in general. This is really more where Hygeia is located. So Martha, you have a Hygeia, but you have to look under what they call other or additional objects. So when you get your chart done, there's a button that you can click on that says additional objects. And then when you click on the additional objects, it's going to pull up a list, and you're going to want to click on Hygeia, and then it will show you Hygeia in your list of your other planets, okay? Just to make sure you know how to do that. It's so true. I love the way you put that. Tracy Kennedy says we all have different can't-dos. I can do things that you probably can't do, and I guarantee you, you can do things that I can't do. And that's what makes this world go round. You know what I mean? So when you look at somebody and go, how do they do that? It's like, they look at you and go, how do you do that? Right? It's really true. It takes the whole world to go around. Okay, Hygeia Virgo is organization. That is your button. And I mean mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. You have to feel like your ducks are in a row, or that will make you sick. There has to be structure, okay? And so your healing temple is the temple. But it's about the quality of the temple, the structure of the temple, the organization of the temple. You don't have to have a special place, but whatever that place is, it's got to be in shape. Like my husband says, who's all Virgo everywhere, fly right? He's Sun Virgo, rising Virgo, Venus Virgo, Hygeia Virgo, like he's true Virgo. And his thing is fly right. And that's his whole life. I don't fly right, by the way, which drives him up the flippin' wall, but it's also how we've stayed together for half of our lives, because you have to have a yin to your yang. But he has to fly right or it makes him crazy. It's really, really true. God love that man, or God love me for loving that man. I don't know. I'm actually very blessed. I love my multi-Virgo. Okay, and then Hygeia in Libra. Hygeia in Libra, your thing is balance, and your healing temple is art. Hygeia Libra people cannot stand when things are like this. Up and down and up and down. You need a little bit of like even keel. And you kind of want, people to get along, and you want energies to be stable. You don't want too much up, too much down. You like a nice, placid kind of, if company comes into town, then you need like a week to recover, right? Because it's like if things go out of balance, you got to get it back in order. And so the reason that art is the healing temple for Hygeia in Libra is that's one of the ways you create balance. In a world of structure and rules and regulations and schedules and time and all of those things, art is so healing for Hygeia Libra. And it doesn't matter whether it's music or painting or coloring in a coloring book or stringing beads or crocheting or knitting. Honestly, it doesn't matter what your art is. It just heals them in every way. And they don't ever have to do anything with their art, by the way. It's not like they have to become an artist or sell their art or anything. For the Hygeia in Libra, it's really about the process of creating that helps them come back in. So Hygeia Libra people, if they've been through too much stress, you'll see them off in the corner doodling and like let it be. Now you would not see, I'm Hygeia Aquarius. That's not how I roll. But again, it takes all of us to go around. Well, Rhonda, part of it may be that you've developed another mechanism. It's very possible. Another mechanism for coming into balance. That's interesting, isn't it? Okay. Hygeia Scorpio, your thing is transformation. You heal through transformation, but transformation will also undo you, and you have to balance it. And so your healing temple, honestly, is death, but also magic, alchemy, transformation. Hygeia, Scorpio people really, really, really heal through the recognition of cycles and that everything does change and will change. They're very comfortable with death. They recognize, and I don't mean physical death, I mean endings and completion of cycles. This is really how they make sense of things, getting through certain things, or how they manage the energy, seeing transformation as a healing modality in and of itself, that going through the cycle itself is the healing process. And again, these are people who make incredible therapists, really, really, really good counselors, can also make really good attorneys, because they're people who understand that transformation is part of the cycle of life and also of healing. So they don't get attached to outcomes. They recognize that everything's always just shifting and transforming. So they can hold their stuff and they can hold your stuff. And they're not afraid of anything. That's why they make such incredible therapists and counselors. It's a really, really good one for that. And then Hygeia Sagittarius, wisdom is your modality, your healing tool. And so, and a little bit different from Gemini. Gemini needs information. Sagittarius needs wisdom. Wisdom can come from people. It can come from experiences. It can come from shamanic journey. It can come from, all other kinds of experiences too. And so your healing temple is the universe. One of the ways Sagittarians heal is by recognizing how small they are in the grand scheme of a very vast and intelligent universe. And so they heal by connecting with spirit guides and angels and archangels and gathering wisdom about how the universe works and how expansive the universe is, and experiencing multiple dimensions of reality and breaking free from, old and unliberated ways of thinking. It's very healing for Sagittarius too. Exploring alternative healing modalities. Wouldn't be surprised if there was a bunch of you actually with Hygeia Sagittarius, because you would be in a holistic healing program or a crystal master program. No, I'm Hygeia Aquarius. We're almost there. It won't surprise you. Hygeia Capricorn, yours is work. In every way that you can define work. And so your healing temple is actually the design and the building of the temple. You heal by creating structures of healing for other people. You heal by working in healing. So these are the light workers, but these are the people who work individually, usually with people. Because the next sign is the collective. So if you see someone who's building a healing temple, that's a Hygeia in Capricorn. And the person who's designing it is a Hygeia Virgo or a Hygeia Taurus. And then the person who's up in there enjoying it is Hygeia Sagittarius. And the person who's sleeping there all night is Hygeia Pisces. Really funny, isn't it? Oh, yeah, the other person who's enjoying it is Hygeia Leo. She's there with Hygeia Sagittarius. Oh, for sure. Well, Bonnie, that reinforces it. She's like, my Hygeia is in Sag, but my sun sign is Sag. Is there a significance to that? Yeah, it just reinforces it, right? It's just additional fuel for that fire. Yeah, and then Gemini is reading a book about it. Or writing a book about it. And Hygeia Libra is painting it. Look, you know what? Look how well you guys learned this tonight. You're teaching it back to me. High five. Nicely done. Okay, I am, and some of you are, Hygeia Aquarius. Our healing modality is freedom. We are here to take the lid off the box and let all the creatures out of the kennel. We are here to, gonna do it a way nobody's ever done it before. And so our healing temple is everything inside the temple and also everything outside the temple too. Because we don't want to be limited to the temple. So we are also in the parking lot. We are also in the restaurant next door. And we are at the park down the street. Because we are here to reimagine healing for the planet. Hygeia Aquarius people are not here to heal themselves. They are not here to, they usually tend to be the healthiest, by the way, physically healthiest. You ready? Physically healthiest, Hygeia, hold on. Hygeia Aquarius, Hygeia Capricorn, Hygeia Virgo are the physically strongest and tend to be the healthiest. Hygeia Pisces, it's That's right. Hygeia Pisces, your modality is the dream. You dream healing into being. And so your temple is the sanctuary of your imagination. When you go in here, that's how you heal. Because you can dream yourself well or you can dream yourself sick. And it's really, really true. So Capricorn, Virgo, Aquarius tend to be the strongest constitution-wise, physically healthiest folks of the Hygeia group. And that's because their mission is beyond themselves. And so the universe, the theory is the universe tends to keep them healthier because they have healing work to do for the planet or for society. Aquarius is more society, like community, and Virgo and Capricorn are more structures. Interesting, right? Now let's talk about the houses really quick, and then we're going to make perfume, and our time together will be complete. Can you believe it's 5:45 already? Time flies when you're with your favorite people. Are you asking me what the round thing on the wall is? Like really, really? I don't know. Is there something round on the wall? You'll have to tell me. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to run through the houses for you. Are you ready? Hygeia in the first house. These, by the way, these are not hard and fast rules. So if you go, well, that doesn't really apply to me, keep in mind these are guidelines. These are not rules. No, we haven't done Angela Fos yet, Nathan. That's the next part. We're doing Angela Fos and the perfume. Stay tuned. We still have about 20-25 minutes left together, guys, by my timing. So just to give you a heads up. Okay. Hygeia in the first house tends to reflect the possibility of childhood illness and personal health concerns, because the first house is the house of self, right? And so this can involve sometimes the face, body, eyes, the head, and the skull. Again, does not mean you will have problems. Does not. And again, the houses are on your astrological chart. They're the little slices of your pie, and they're all numbered. Okay. Okay. Hygeia in the second house tends to be linked to health problems related to self-esteem and your worth being tied to your health. And so this can involve the ears, the metabolism, and then the neck, the throat, and the voice. Okay. Hygeia in the third house is environmental stress and can also be pressures in life. It can mean that you have more environmental stress or more pressures in your life. And so it can involve the arms, fingers, hands, and the nervous system in general. Okay. Hygeia in the fourth house, which is me, can reflect childhood conditioning, including hypochondria learned from parents that leads to overactive concerns about their personal health or the health of loved ones. And I certainly did have hypochondria in my house growing up. So I'm not somebody who's overly worried about health, but I definitely I have my labs done twice a year. My kids and my husband, I make sure we all have our labs done multiple times a year. I'm always on top of this, just managing and monitoring everybody's health. And that's probably is from childhood conditioning. So we tend to encounter issues in the chest and breast area, the digestive system, and the uterus. Hygeia in the fifth house, self-love and loving, self-care, self-love and self-care, tends to have issues with the back and shoulders, the heart, and also issues of pregnancy and miscarriage, loss of pregnancy. Okay? Hygeia in the sixth house, sometimes seen as the house of martyrdom, sacrifice, sacrificing your personal health for the health of others, putting yourself second and everybody else first, okay? Tends to involve the abdomen, intestines, and can also highlight just generalized pain and weakness in the physical body. Interesting, right? Body image issues would be probably the second house, body image issues. Okay. So busy with brilliance, what I was explaining is your astrological chart, and maybe somebody in the feed can help you too, or Alexis can help you while I'm going through the rest of it. Your astrological chart has these little slices, and they're all numbered, and those are the houses. So whichever one of those slices your Hygeia is in, that's the number of the house that I'm talking about right now. Okay, Hygeia in the 7th house, codependence and co-suffering. Misery loves company sometimes for Hygeia in the 7th house, and this can impact your buttocks, your kidneys, your ovaries, and your sides, your flank. Sometimes also liver can be aspected there. Hygeia in the 8th house, okay, mental health as well as death and suicide occasionally. The ability, the capacity to take one's life can be aspected in the 8th house. And this can involve the bladder, the muscle system, as well as psychic and mental disturbances. So sometimes there's a predisposition toward mental health issues, but again, not all the time. So remember, these are not like hard and fast. Like I don't have any issues that are predisposed in the 4th house. I don't have them. So don't feel like, oh, I'm going to have these things or I must have these things. It doesn't mean that you will. These are just possibilities, areas that are highlighted. Okay, but we do have to worry about depression a little bit more with Hygeia 8th house sometimes than we do with other signs. How is the house related? It sort of tells you, Hygeia is the what, and the house sort of tells you how. Because each one of the houses reflects something different in your natal chart. So I'm giving you kind of like a quick dash through this, but it really puts the sign of your Hygeia in some context, if that makes sense. Okay, and then Hygeia in the 9th house is about mental attitude. It also reflects a servant identity, or people who are concerned with global paradigms, global health as well. And this can affect the blood, the liver, and also the sciatic nerves. It can also highlight potential areas for back pain. Hygeia in the 10th house, because you're taking on so much of the world stuff that it's heavy on your back. Hygeia 10th house is the house of sometimes achievement pressure. It can also be health restrictions, highlighting potential issues of the bones and skeletal system. And then Hygeia in the 11th house is the collective health, a commitment to global health. And by the way, Hygeia 9 and Hygeia 11 tend to be the healthiest house placements for Hygeia. It's not universally true, but they tend to have the strongest constitution. Hygeia in the 11th house tends to have issues around legs, ankles, shins. And the joke is that they walk away from health concerns like... They just walk on away from health concerns because their commitment is more to the collective health and well-being. They focus less on themselves. They're more interested in the collective. And then the 12th house, which is always the house of the subconscious, this is the house where your subconscious thoughts can undermine your health and well-being. This is the house of hypochondria, or can be, negative emotions manifesting in disease within the body. And so this is the house that sometimes has issues with addiction, as well as hypochondria and physical limitations, occasionally. Is that helpful? So, given all of this information, you should have some really good insight into yours, and hopefully you'll research your friends and family too, because I think it would be good for you to know. Gives you some insight into what are the day-to-day things that you need to think about, manage, focus on, and also the pitfalls that you need to avoid. Like for me, Hygeia in the 4th house and Aquarius, if I'm too focused on myself, that's going to undermine my health and well-being, because I'm here to support new structures and new paradigms for the planet. And so that's what's going to help me feel healthy and happy and radiant, is when I'm in service to that vision. And so it teaches me that I can kind of get trapped, if you will, by focusing on my own personal health. It's interesting, right? And it's an affirmation, right? So then you can play, and we can certainly continue to discuss in the group too, to help you even drill down deeper into what the meaning is behind your profile. And if you are in one of those houses where the psychological stuff is highlighted, you got to take care of your mental health. You need to take really good care of you, put you first, Watch your inner monologue, make sure that you're surrounding yourself with high vibe people, that you're not in a toxic environment, that you're not having people mirror back stuff to you that's not supportive of your highest good, you know what I mean? And that would be more important for you than it would be for me, right? Because I'm not likely to succumb to as much of that, right? Yeah. So again, those are just predispositions. If you have a hypochondriacal profile, if you're prone to hypochondrial or hypochondriacal behavior, then don't be a hypochondriac with that stuff, because you can end up manifesting stuff you're not trying to. Okay. I want to switch gears, and I wish we had more time, but I want to switch gears because I do want to spend a few minutes dedicating our tools and also making our perfume. Your amulet for this month, as you know, is your necklace, which we are going to fill tonight with this sacral chakra blend that we are making. So you can prepare your little bottle to receive. And I do want to teach you how to trace our beautiful love symbol, because each month we have a symbol, and the Angelophos is a series of symbols, not unlike Reiki, that I actually downloaded during ayahuasca ceremony in October and was told to teach you those symbols, and I was actually shown how to draw them too. So I'm going to take a moment and show you how I draw it, and then I want to liberate you too, because just because I do it this way or was shown this way, if you have a better way to do it your way, okay? So, it's a heart with a triangle underneath and a line through the heart, if you look at the symbol. And so what you do is you start at the center. Think of that as the center point. Okay, let me bring this closer so you can see. When a planet is retrograde, or even an asteroid is retrograde, it just means it's extra highlighted for you. It means it needs additional focus or attention in your chart. Okay. So that you're going to come up here like this, and around like this, and draw your heart, just like that. Then down, across, up, and through. Again, center point, draw your heart, down, across, up, and through. And so what I've been doing at night, getting ready for you guys, is doing this on my sacral area. So, and after tonight, you can use your anointing blend that we're about to make to do this. So on your skin, it looks like, if you're doing it here on your arm, starting here, you make your heart, you come down, you draw your triangle, across, and then up through the heart. You're going to pierce the heart. Isn't it beautiful? I'll take a screenshot of my little shitty picture that I just drew, and I'll post it in the group. Just for you, Annette. It is kind of like a 5-pointed star. Okay, so let's make our perfume. I'm going to teach you briefly about your oils. And again, sparingly as it goes with the cinnamon acacia, okay, because it's very, very, very strong. These are both pure essential oils, and both very, very powerful. But this one has the potential to irritate your skin. Never put raw cinnamon acacia on your skin without a carrier oil, and use the minimum amount you need to get the energy and the smell that you want, okay? Yeah, Angelophos means light of the angels, and that's what ayahuasca named these symbols. It means light of angels in Greek. My grandmother's name was Photini, which means the light of God, which I thought was kind of I didn't name it myself, but I thought it was pretty neat that the system is actually somewhat named after my maternal or paternal grandmother. Kind of cool, isn't it? And that is the love symbol. Okay, so cinnamon acacia, I have to tell you really quickly. Let me see, I want to tell you so much. Cinnamon acacia actually comes from akakia. It's what's known as akakia in Greek. Acacia is how you would know it. In ancient Egypt, in the mummies, in the wrappings of the mummies, they found a mix of cinnamon acacia and cocaine. Did you know this? And And it's not clear who was using it or how they were using it, but it's part of the embalming process, right? It's one of the 7 sacred oils in ancient Egypt, and those 7 are cinnamon, cassia, cedar, blue lotus, sandalwood, amber. So you have 2 of the sacred 7 in tonight's perfume: rose, jasmine, and musk, which is a different form of amber known as ambergris. It was used in the worship of the Neteru in ancient Egypt. In ancient Egyptian, the word neter, Neter, means force of nature. And so the Egyptians called their gods the Neteru, who were known as the collective forces of nature. Cinnamon cassia is actually inscribed as one of the 7 sacred oils on the face of Edfu, which is one of the sacred temples in ancient Egypt. Yeah, it's spelled Cassia. What else did I want to tell you? Ramses III, by the way, offered more than 20,000 jars of the 7 sacred oils to the gods during his rule. He offered more than 20,000 jars of the 7 sacred oils during his rule alone. So this was very, very serious to the ancient Egyptians. It was also used in kifi, which was the first original ceremonial incense blend ever made in ancient Egypt. Also used by the Hebrews. It's reflective of the sun. There's referenced in the Bible. It's also referenced in Ayurveda, which comes from the Vedas, the Rig Vedas, the original Hindu texts. It's used in Chinese medicine for clearing energy blockages in the meridian systems. So it is like, when I tell you cinnamon cassia is powerhouse, it is powerhouse, and it has been since we have documented history. And then the other oil that you have, by the way, cinnamon cassia should never be consumed. I'm sure it goes without saying. But it has something in it called coumarin, which can be very toxic in high levels. And so you don't want to physically consume it. And that's why in oils we use it very sparingly. Now, you'd have to drink a gallon of it to really cause yourself a problem. So you're fine. But I just want to make sure you know it's not something that should be consumed. Now, no, unfortunately, there's no sub for cinnamon cassia. I wish there was. Some people say cardamom, but cardamom was not ever used in ancient Egypt, was not part of the 7 sacred oils. It's like, it smells, or clove, but it's like, these are sort of like, they don't have quite the same energy. Amber is quite different. So amber, which is a pure attar, absorbs and transmutes negative energy instantly. It's almost as powerful as white sage. It supports the life force. If you think about it, amber traps life within it. And so amber is really powerful for depression and anxiety. It can help with suicidal ideation. It's extremely protective. It protects not just your physical body, but your entire energetic body too. And amber has a literal permanent shelf life. And if you put amber on something, it will smell like amber forever. So if you don't like this, you should not put it on your clothing. Leo, darling, I wish we could do something like that for you. We will have, if there's any left over down the road, we will do that. It is, and it's probably hard to even imagine how hard it is for my team to create your soul shift tools every month. It is the hardest thing that we've ever done in the history of Sage Goddess. So I wish we could break out bits and pieces for you. I think my entire team would quit and run out of the building. It is so hard. First of all, to source your items, which come from all different countries, collect them, organize them, package them up, get them ready, ship them. Each month is absolutely crazy. So please be patient with us. I wish there was more we could do, but I honestly don't know how we even do what we do half the time. So just to be honest with you. All right, and then last but not least, your blackberry, I wanted to tell you, is associated with Freya and with Danu. Did you know that? It's sacred to both of our goddesses, our goddess for January and our goddess for February. It's also sacred to Hathor, who is one of the most important of all of the Egyptian Neteru. Christ's crown of thorns was said to be made from blackberry brambles. It wards off obstacles to prosperity. So if you're trying to work money magic and you find that money doesn't come easily to you, then blackberry is actually a really good one to help you work through some of those obstacles and blockages. So let's take our bottle, and I'm going to add my amber first. I like to blow my breath in there to sort of charge the energy. So I'm going to add my amber first. I'm going to use my whole vial of amber because I want this to be a really strong amber blend. That's my favorite. Amber is also an aphrodisiac, so it opens, heals, and aligns the sacral chakra. Thanking the spirit of that beautiful plant. And then I'm going to add just a drop of cinnamon acacia because I just want the energy. I don't really want, and it's so strong, you guys, it will overtake your perfume really quickly. So just a couple drops is all you need. Save the rest of it for something else. Kind of mix that and see how it smells. I just put like, honestly, 3 or 4 drops of cinnamon, and it's enough. It's a lot. It'll settle, but it's definitely a lot. This is an amber attar from India. And it is, we didn't dilute it, it's pure, and it's my favorite. Liquid amber is what they call it. It's related to Styrax. Isn't it beautiful? So good. Okay, and then I want you to add your carrier oil. Is it going to come out of there? I think I'm going to pop the cap off so that you're not having to watch me pour drop by drop. There we go. There we go. Okay. And that blackberry just has the lightest little scent. It's not really going to shift the smell of your perfume too much, but it is going to add all those prosperity benefits. And blackberry is also considered an aphrodisiac, so I thought it would be good for sacral chakra. And then I like to close my bottle and turn it 3 times. And you'll see that really dark amber, liquid amber mixed with that clear cinnamon acacia and sort of cloud it up a little bit. That's what you're looking for. And then, that's good. Went right up my nose. That's real good. I like that a lot. Okay. Now, it's my hands, like all I can smell are my hands right now. Now, this is a final step if you want to. I find myself through the month sort of working with my generator, tracing the symbol on my generator. And that can become a meditation of sorts because your love symbol has been engraved on your generator. And so you can touch the symbol on the generator to your bottle, which will activate the energy of the symbol within your bottle. You can sit the bottom of your bottle on the face of the generator. And you can also just, if you don't have the generator, just trace the symbol on the bottle, which will activate the energy of the symbol within. And so this is a blend for love and sacral chakra healing for you. Isn't that beautiful? That is the love symbol, Candace. And it's bringing in universal and unconditional love. All of that agape, storge, philia, eros, everything all together represents all of those at once. So a little bit on your third eye for what you know, at your wrists for what you do, at your ankles for where you go. Oh, it smells like honey. There's a honeyishness. And then if you want to, you can lift up your shirt and draw your symbol right on your sacral. And then what I'm going to do is pull up some of my oil with my little dropper here. And I'm going to fill my Angela Fos bottle, which is your amulet for this month. Then you can carry your beautiful blend with you. Be careful not to overfill. Just a few drops. Whoops, there we go. That was it. And I have to pour just a little bit out. And then put your stopper back in. Isn't that fun? We will be talking more about life force magic. Thresholding was partly our discussion for last month, so we talked a little bit about thresholding last month, and we will be talking more about thresholding and also life force magic when we journey with Freya. at week 3. So just to let you know, we're coming back to a lot of that. Part of the way I'm also working the pillars of priestessing, you guys, is by all the holistic teaching from tonight. And so through Hygeia and through this conversation about energy and movement and time. So everything tonight was related to the pillar in a way, but a lot of our teaching too of this month's pillar is going to come through our journey at week 3. I usually teach about the first half hour to 45 minutes of week 3, and so that's where you're going to see the rest of the pickup of the priestessing material coming through. So I'm glad you asked that too. No, instead of Morrigan this month, we've decided to work with Freya and Magdalene. And so Morrigan, I think I'm going to save until toward the end of the year. I wanted to try and focus on 1 or 2 goddesses this month. And by the way, apparently the Freya Dark blend, which I told you we were listing tonight, you don't have to get it, but if you like having an embodiment blend for the goddess, we made Freya Dark for you, which is resinoid oak moss, opoponax, mugwort, eucalyptus, and rose. And this is over at sagegoddess.com if you want this. And I'm putting it up now because if you order it tonight, you'll have it in time for our journey. So if you want that, that'll be there for you too. And then we will work with our herbs in our 3rd session and 4th session. Usually what we do is just the perfume in session 1, and then we work with the herbs, which are going to go into our crafting this month, which is your love bundle. So this is your craft for week 4, and your herbs, your goldenrod and your lady mantle, are going to go into your love medicine bag with some drops of your blend that you made tonight too. And then, so you got a charm and you got ribbon and a little piece of velvet. So all of that is for week 4. Isn't that fun? So you'll be able to gather your own supplies too. And then we're going to be working with our honey powder week 3 as well. And a little bit of week 4 too. This is edible, by the way, but it's all honey and rose and beautiful things. Okay. Now, let us dedicate our tools. Are you ready? Really quickly. You don't have to have a double terminated wand to do it. I don't have mine right here, so I'm going to use my finger. So I just quickly want to acknowledge all of our tools in the east. I want to give thanks to our golden seal, or goldenrod, and our lady's mantle, which are our 2 herbs for this month. I want to give thanks for our beautiful candle, which is poured with amber attar and pure rose. Did you love your candle this month? We have these containers custom made, and your beautiful honey powder, your edible honey dust, which is also in a custom container. I want to give thanks for our beautiful Crystal Masters tools. This is our double terminated rose quartz wand for this month, and all of the tools for our crafting. I want to give thanks to the beautiful plants and resins that gave us our cinnamon acacia and our amber, as well as the mother plants of our beautiful blackberry. And I think that's all of our tools, and our little puff too that we will use to transfer our powder and anoint with it. And so we give thanks for all of these beautiful tools. Welcome into our circle. Oh, thank you too for our amulet. These were handmade for us too, as you know, because they were engraved with our symbol. And for carrying our potion throughout the month so that we can move through this world with our magic in our hands and in our hearts. And so we give thanks for these tools. We dedicate them to the work of the month. And together we say, Amen, Aho, and so it is. Amen, Aho, and so it is. I got oil on my mat. I'm forever making a mess. Oh, and our generator. There's so many tools in this month's kit that I forgot our generator too. So activating our generator and also giving thanks for its presence in our circle with our work this month. Aho. And don't forget, at the end of the year, there will be a tool for you to put all of your generators in and that will light up. So that's going to be your priestess grid coming at the end of the year if you want that too. Did you have fun tonight? With that, we have a wrap on session 1. Tracy made a mess too. That makes me feel better. I'm not the only one. I'm like a kid. Like, you can always tell what I ate because it's all over my shirt. You get a new mat every season. So your March tools, did you see your March tools? Your March tools come with your spring mat. It's so beautiful. If you haven't had a chance to see the spring mat artwork, make sure you go to sagegoddess.com or the link that's in your group and check it out. It's so beautiful. I loved our winter mat, but I love our spring mat even more than that one. So tonight was deep and wide and all the things. Hopefully you're able to keep up with everything. I tried to jam pack our session. Session 2 is Crystal Masters. That's Monday. Session 3 is Wednesday. Again, if you want Freya Dark Perfume, the drams are at sagegoddess.com. It's optional. You don't have to get it, but it's the energy of Freya, and that is a pure essential oil blend for you. It's absolutely beautiful. Some of the notes in there are really rare, too, like the Apopanax and the Resinoid Oak Moss. It's very masculine, but it represents the darker aspects of Freya since we're still in the season of winter. So I thought you would love connecting with that. So I will not see you again until Monday for Crystal Masters. Although I probably will come live at some point just to chit chat and hang out. Session 3 is our journey with Freya. And like I said, I'm going to be spending the first 45 minutes coming back around to our pillar of the month and also comparing and contrasting Freya and Magdalene, which I've never heard anybody do before, but I find them to have a lot of resonance. And so I want to show you a different side of Freya by comparing and contrasting her to Mary Magdalene and opening you up to a new perspective on both of those incredibly potent female figures. And then we're going to journey with the two. And I think it's going to be a really, really, really powerful journey. I didn't want to make 2 perfumes, so I only made a Freya perfume, but certainly you could customize your own blend to represent Magdalene if you wanted to in your collection. And so we have a lot of work left to do. And then session 4 will be our integration, our crafting session, when we're going to be making our love medicine bags. So I'm really looking forward to that. Don't miss Crystal Masters on Monday. I'm going to be teaching you here at the desk for the first half. And then the second half, I'm going to have the massage table up, and I'm going to actually be doing some crystal healing on one of our staff members to show you how to work with wands, single and double terminated. So we are really excited about that session. We did do a Magdalene blend last year, so if you have that, you could work with that too. If you have M3, that's the one I would use, because that really is Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene both. So M3 would be my, highly recommended blend for working with Mary Magdalene if you have it. We only ever did one time, kind of a limited edition, but if you got one, that's probably the best blend to use for that. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your night. I want to thank you again also for being there through all of the Tucson adventures. I will tell you, we are still recovering. I lost my voice yesterday, so I'm amazed I got through class. I still have a little tickle, but we were exhausted, but we had such a blast in Tucson. So I hope you enjoyed every minute of it too. We loved bringing all of that to you. So thank you so much for being here, you guys. All right, enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your tools. You can be playing with them all month long. And I will look forward to seeing you on Monday in Crystal Masters. I'll see you then. Enjoy.